Hey, everybody, welcome on into The Reckoning. It is 4 o'clock. Miss Peggy's gone, and we get to dive into a whole new round of topics over the next 2 hours together. I am glad to be here with you and appreciative that you're spending your time with us today. I know that's the one thing you can't get back, so we always make sure and spend good time on good topics together, and we're going to do that here today. You know the drill. You're here with me in the next 2 hours. We'll get into all sorts of stuff. I've got stories, Missouri, national. We'll cover it all. And, of course, we're going to do it thanks to Brian Dawson Roofing, Grace Hauling, and the Tilted Skillet and the 514, who we love very much and appreciate for their support. But we're just going to dive right off into a topic, straight off into the positive that I'm excited to get to. You folks know I like to talk about things that are going on. And we all love to complain, and especially about politics, we used to complain all the time. But it is great when we have something good to throw our energy into, and I've got a couple of folks to talk about that with me here today. I have David and Vicki Stamps in with me, regional folks with Operation Christmas Child. If you haven't heard that name before, I'm very excited for the next 20 or so minutes you get to spend with us, folks, because this is a really neat program and a very good opportunity that each of us gets an opportunity to plug into. So they've got a big week coming up, National Collection Week. Thank you, folks, for being here with me, Vicki and David. I appreciate it so much.
We're so glad to be here.
Absolutely. Now, let me do this, because this is a name probably that a lot of people either already know or just became familiar with, Samaritan's Purse, one of the big Franklin Graham ministries. I know this has been in the news a lot, from hurricane relief down especially in the Carolinas, but then also down into Florida. Samaritan's Purse has a lot of ministries that are on the front lines of serving. I mean, you want to talk about being the hands and feet of Christ. Samaritan's Purse puts people to that task. And Operation Christmas Child has always just been a pure pleasure to be involved in. Why don't someone just give me a brief run? And where did this start? What's the gist? And what people are looking at when they hear Operation Christmas Child? What does it do?
Well, I can tell you that it's the largest project that Samaritan's Purse does. It's we volunteer year-round with Operation Christmas Child. It started in 1993, and since then we've packed and shipped 220 million shoeboxes since 1993 to over 170 countries. And we not only do we hand the shoebox to the child, it's presented with an evangelistic thrust so that they find out about Jesus, who he is, and why he came and died for our sins. And then after that, they're invited to a discipleship program, which is a 12-week discipleship program. And that's exciting because they learn more about who Jesus is and how to live as a Christian. And then the last part we're very thrilled about, because that's where our multiplication comes in, because from there, they learn how to share with family and friends. And that's happened over and over again.
So this is, you said, now, did you say 200 million boxes total?
220 million.
220 million. Oh, my gosh. Now, I know we're talking about the entire world, 170 plus countries, and several years that this has been happening now, multiple decades, but that's still 220 million boxes. This is one of the highlights of our year. My kids love it when we get to take a shoebox and actually think about, okay, if I have the opportunity to potentially reach out to a child who doesn't get gifts, this is a really good opportunity, especially in America, for us to realize, even if you don't live some, frivolous, luxurious life, which a lot of Americans can afford to do, and be selfish and just closed off to even if you're mindful, it's still a great opportunity to examine, oh my goodness, this box of almost insignificant things, this is going to be such a huge impact for someone else. It's a humbling experience, and I think it's a great thing to do as a family, to be able to put this together. We usually like to write a little note. We put in a little family picture and just, put the boxes together, pray over the box. Of course, our church is a huge focal point for that, a drop-off location, but it's a really neat ministry. It really is. So in Missouri, how many drop-off points or boxes? Do you have any stats on Missouri, which is where most of our listeners are based here, but we do have people coast to coast. If you're listening, you've got an opportunity. You all operate in all 50 states, right?
We do.
Okay, I thought so.
We're set up with a team organization, and we set up these drop-off locations only in churches, and we make those so convenient. What is so neat is that you can go to the zip code locator that is on SamaritansPurse.org, put in your zip code, and you get a choice of several drop-off locations. So I guarantee there's one that's close to each one of your listeners, wherever they are. All they have to do is go to SamaritansPurse.org, and first thing that comes up is a zip code locator so that they can put it in, and they'll find not only the map, the address of the church, also the hours of operation. Because they're in churches, they have different hours. We ask for each to be open at least 2 hours a day, and we try to make it very convenient for the donor who's bringing in the shoe boxes.
Mm-hmm. And that's now next week is a big week for this, because I mean this is ongoing, and I mentioned this. I wished I would have gotten to this earlier, but with all the political news we had and everything, we were just cramming through for the election. But next week is National Collection Week. This is the final week in these next 5 business days after today for these things to be collected, and then it takes time to pack them, to ready them and get them shipped the world over.
November 18th through the 25th is our days that we're operating in each one of these churches. And the thing of it is, you can pack 1 or 2 shoe boxes before Monday. I mean, we've got the weekend here and the whole week to do it. So you could bring them in that last Sunday and still be in on time. So that's great. And like I said, we work year round on working with churches. If anybody is interested in getting their church for next year, we're always doing this the 3rd week of November. So you can mark that on your calendar right now. We're always finished the Monday before Thanksgiving. So that is something that you can just plan on. And that's one of the things a lot of us do. We shop year round and try to get deals and those kinds of things so we can pack more shoe boxes.
Yeah. Back to school week is a big one. There's a lot of really neat opportunities to find valuable things, because that's the thing that always strikes me about these. It's not hard to fill one of these boxes. It is very hard to make sure it fits, and you have to start getting very mindful about, okay, I don't want to just fill this with stuff. Like if I have an opportunity to impact a child and it's going to be this huge, potentially life-altering experience, I want first and foremost the gospel of Jesus to Christ to be the most important thing. But if I'm able to give a gift, what is lasting and meaningful, and it really does, all of a sudden you realize I need this box to be 5 times bigger because I can afford to do so much. And even though it doesn't cost that much, it really is a very humbling experience to realize how insignificant it seems compared to the regular bills and even comforts we pay for, and then to see what actually fits in a box. It's just such a neat thing to participate in.
Well, we've talked to many of the shoebox recipients, and this is the first gift that they've ever received. Many of them, I could sit here and list names where they've said that. We try to emphasize fun items in the box and make it full, just like you're talking about, and personalized. That note that you put in there is very important because it means a lot to the child. Another trick is to take the packaging off. For instance, if you're putting in a Barbie doll or some other kind of doll, take it out of the box and put it in the shoebox, because that saves a lot of room. You're not packing just air in that shoebox.
Right, and also with the packaging, in many countries, not all, but many countries, they don't have the infrastructure for a lot of trash removal, things of that nature, and so it just creates a lot of clutter and litter, and it just makes for a bad impact on their environment.
Absolutely. And one of the really neat things I like too that folks, you can do, and I mean even if you're in the middle of nowhere and you don't have an opportunity to get a box and get it to a drop-off location, if you go, like Vicki said, again, we're on with Vicki and David Stamps, Samaritan's Purse, Operation Christmas Child. You go to SamaritansPurse.org. You could even just any of your internet search engines, I promise. You hit Operation Christmas Child, it will take you to the right page immediately. There's a big countdown on the front page. You can type in your gift code. There's you can type in a gift if you'd like to give it. It's got a countdown to the pack week next week, suggestions on how to pack and what it is, but you can just give. And I love to do that as well because we love to try to cover the cost of the shoebox, but also we get to track it and you get to see the journey of your box because there's a code attached to each one of them. Is that correct on every single one?
That's right. There's a QR code on all of the labels so that you can track when you put your email address in. when you're paying that $10 donation, it will activate that code so that you can track it and find out. I know where all of my boxes have gone through the years, and then there's a lookup tool also on that site so that you can find out where that is. But you mentioned being out in the middle of nowhere. You can, as long as you've got internet, you could even pack a shoebox online.
Really?
Yes.
How does that work?
Well, that's great. You go to that magic Samaritan'sPurse.org, and under Operation Children, Operation Christmas Child, there is a pack a shoebox online opportunity, and you go in and for $25 you get to choose among the toys. You just like if you're packing a real box, you get to choose the age and gender of the child, and then different selections come up, maybe a soccer ball. And then what happens when you order that, I guess it's in January or February, they have at one of the processing centers, they take your order and they fulfill that order. They pack a shoebox just exactly like you've ordered it. You can also even write a personal note on that, build a shoebox online.
I had no idea. I'd never done that before. I mean, that's half the joy is packing it, but it's just
fun.
neat.
It's fun doing that too. I've done some of those just to try it, and it's a lot of fun. It's kind of like a video game.
Well, this is just I'm hopeful and excited. I'm really glad we get to talk about this, and I know we're going to take a break here in a minute. Maybe we'll just come back because you were able to actually take a trip, David, that I want to get to. But I am so hopeful that this is a huge year for Operation Christmas Child, because now a bunch of people who are interested in doing the right thing, serving other people, putting family first, they got a massive megaphone opportunity because those of us paying attention to political news saw Samaritan's Purse first there in Western North Carolina. And then even, you have Donald Trump coming through, making a big donation and talking about they do the work. I thought this is fantastic. I mean, love or hate Donald Trump, voted for him or not, this is huge publicity for an organization that just selflessly does big work across the globe. And they give so many different ways to plug in. Packing a shoebox online, for crying out loud. I didn't even know this. This is just fun. And I'm a millennial, and I had no idea.
Oh, wow.
I love it. But that's really neat. Well, you know what? Let's dive into that. So I've got the press release here in front of me. It's neat as a participant in this. I get to see the videos before and after of kids getting their boxes. And again, we've tracked our boxes every year. They always end up. We have a lot in Africa, Eastern Europe. We've had several boxes go to Ukraine the last few years, which is a little bit more interesting than it used to be. I thinking of it in a different way now. South America, but to see this happen is always just really neat. You got an opportunity to go down to Ecuador. Was it earlier this year?
Yes, end of May and early June. I spent about 5 days in Ecuador with 60 other volunteers from the United States on various Operation Christmas Child teams, and we had the opportunity to go to three different outreach events in which we had the privilege of handing shoeboxes to the children, and also to attend one graduation ceremony of the Greatest Journey Discipleship Program.
Let's come back to that, because I want to hear more about the Greatest Journey. We're going to take a quick break, folks, and we'll be right back on The Reckoning. David and Vicki Stamps, Operation Christmas Child. Hang on. We'll be back in just a moment. Hey, we're back. Fish is taking over the tunes. He's in the Christmas spirit now. There you go, DJ Fish. We have to have we need an alternate show name. It can't just be The Reckoning. We got to have something about, like showy tunes with the heights of DJ Fish or something. Oh, come on. I'm not saying that was my best.
Out on a
that
limb.
was not
and the limb's
my best.
about to snap.
But it was not my best. But it was it's just a
out
possibility.
On a limb. We're going to have way out on the Christmas tree limb. And
I know.
The branches got the saw.
I went out on the limb, but you just shoved me off the edge. Thanks for that. Goodness. Just leaving me out to dry here. Oh, my gosh. All right. We are back again, folks. We've got David and Vicki Stamps on with Operation Christmas Child here in the St. Louis area. But this is far beyond it. All of Missouri, all the 50 states, and all over the world. is where the impact is felt. And this isn't just the shoe boxes. Again, next week is National Collection Week, November 18 through 25. Go to SamaritansPurse.org or just do an internet search, Google search for Operation Christmas Child. You'll find it. You'll find where in your area you can drop off a shoebox. You could pick one up, go fill it, bring it back, what the hours are, what fits in it, the guides, and then how you can be a continuing part of that. And David was just telling us how he did that. Earlier this year, he was down in Ecuador. And it's not just going and delivering the boxes. There are next levels of programs. You were just talking about a graduation for the Next Step program. Would you pick back up and tell me just a little bit about that part of it? Because I think a lot of people don't know. After the shoebox is delivered, they just look to next year, but there's more.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot more. After the outreach event where shoeboxes are handed to the children and they hear the gospel message in their own language by a trained volunteer, each of the recipients is invited to participate in a follow-up 12-week discipleship program, and which consists of 4 weeks of learning about who Jesus is, what he did, then 4 weeks of how we follow him, how the Bible is our guide for life, and then finally 4 weeks of how to share the gospel message of how Jesus died in our place with their friends, with their family, and that happens all the time. And I was able, with many others, to attend a graduation ceremony of what is called the Greatest Journey, a 12-week discipleship program that follows the outreach shoebox event. Each child has 12 weeks of lessons in which they learn Bible verses, they learn songs, they discuss the lessons, they have a workbook, and at the end of 12 weeks, they go through what we would recognize as a graduation ceremony with a gown, a cap, a diploma, probably the only graduation ceremony they may ever go to.
Yeah.
And they invite their friends, their family. They're very excited about it because it's a special thing. There's cake, there's songs. They have a great time. And one by one, and they allowed the volunteers from the United States to place the cap and gown on the each graduate, present them with their diploma. They turn around, face their friends, have their picture taken. And now that's not the end, because they are still participating in the life of the church where that happened. And I think it's so wonderful. It may appear that Samaritan's Purse, Operation Christmas Child, shows up, passes out the shoebox, and all right, that was fine, but it's a one-day event. Mm-hmm. But it's really just a stepping stone to the rest of their lives, in which many of the children come from perhaps broken homes, backgrounds, maybe from the streets where there's gang activity, drugs, sex trafficking, and it provides not only a safe haven for them from those dangers, but it also, gives them a new life in Christ where they're able to grow, become productive members of their society. And, just got to witness that and see the joy that they experienced. Their family saw it, and it influences, impacts those family members for the gospel. Mm-hmm. I thought it was the most exciting part. We saw the 3 major pillars of Operation Christmas Child: the evangelism part, where the shoeboxes and the gospel are presented, discipleship, which is this greatest journey, and following that, multiplication as it goes out to family and friends. And it was actually like seeing all of that happen.
Yeah.
And the shoebox is just kind of opening the door to all of that.
That's really neat. And that I think it is. It's just, for a lot of us that participate at the easiest level, packing a shoebox, turning it in, that's it. That is beginning to end. That's the process. But that really is only the introduction of what is going on with this ministry. And it's so neat. Again, folks, that is the greatest journey. Discipleship. If you get a shoebox, you might see it in there in the literature. When you go on to pay for your shipping to track your box and help it get there, you'll see that, and you want to pay attention to it. But again, remind us one more time, David and Vicki Stamps, thank you for being here with me. Remind folks one more time where they can go and learn about this, find out what to do, where to do it, and keep in touch with Operation Christmas Child in this next most vital week.
SamaritansPurse.org is the website, and it has everything on there, even information about how to pack a shoebox and how to get in touch with us. If if somebody would want to volunteer with us, join one of our teams, there's a way to contact us through that.
There you go. SamaritansPurse.org. You just Google Operation Christmas Child. Either one, you'll find it, and you'll see the big counter. National Collection Week, November 18 through 25. This is the week that you got to get the shoeboxes in. 2 days, 7 hours, 29 minutes, and 50 seconds, the website tells me. So there you go, folks. Operation Christmas Child. Go and look it up, get involved, do something, and put your feet to the ground on being able to work for others and serve through this presentation of the gospel across the world. David, Vicki, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Pack those boxes.
Pack the boxes. All right, folks, we'll be right back here on The Reckoning. Don't go anywhere.